Hi, I'm Jiu Kim. Today I will talk about Seoul Education Museum.
I'll explain the education system in the period of Three Kingdoms. First is Baekje. There are no records about Baekje's education system, but we are sure there was a very high level of education through a doctoral degree system. A doctor was an officer who was in charge of education and an expert of Confucianism. There were doctors of Confucianism in Yang philosophy, medicine, and roof tiles. Next is educational system in Goguryeo. In Goguryeo, Taeak, the National Education Academy, was established in 373 AD. The students learned Confucianism, Chinese history, archery, and so on. There were private schools named Gyeongdang in rural areas for common people. They also learned archery and Confucianism. When we talk about Silla, we can't miss Hwarangdo. This is a great education system for young elite men. They used to study Confucianism, military arts, etc. It helped Silla to unify the three kingdoms on the Korean peninsula. There were 5 basic but essential rules made by the great monk Wongang. First, be loyal to one's state. Second, be good to one's parents. Third, trust among friends. Fourth, never retreat in battle. Fifth, don't kill anything without reason. And the National Academy was established in 682 AD. The purpose of it was to train officials and study Confucianism. This is a lamp called 조족등. A candle was put inside of it. It was balanced so that it could be placed in any position. After Silla fell, the new unified state, the Goryeo dynasty, was established. They completed an improved education system. It became the basis of the Korean traditional education system. First, the civil service examination was set up for the first time during Korean history. Second, the national religion became Buddhism, and Confucianism was the political ideology during this period. Two different ideologies were together. Third, a national academy called Gukjagan was opened for government officials and students to go through the civil service examination. Fourth, many private schools were opened as well as national academies, and students in them became the basis of Korean Confucianism. Joseon was the last dynasty of Korea. This dynasty set Confucianism. Confucianism influenced almost everything such as one's behavior, religion, politics, etc. To strengthen royal authority, the Joseon dynasty emphasized Confucianism in its political ideology. It was very important to show respect to the king and one's ancestors. In the countryside, there were Hangyo, state academies, and Sewon, private academies. Seodang is an elementary school. Also, the middle and high schools were called Hyangyu or Sewon. Hyangyu was public and Sewon was private. Sangyungan can be a kind of national college. It was a top-level school at the time. Passing the state exam was necessary in order to work for the government. A student who passed this exam had a big parade for 3 days. This model is the school in transition period to modern era. From 1880s, the new cultural gateway to the Korean Republic was opened. A lot of modernized schools were founded with a new education system. Also, females could go to school in this period officially, but female students couldn't look at male teacher face to face because it's a basic custom of Confucianism. So sometimes girls used to sit watching back in the classroom. Korea was under Japanese occupation for 35 years, from 1910 to 1945. It was called the Japanese colonial period. During this period, mainly Japanese was used in schools. Especially in the 1930s, Korean students were banned to learn Korean. At the front part, you can see a man holding a card. It is the Japanese-speaking card. In the morning, the teacher gave Japanese-speaking cards to some students. Each student had to check on their classmates. If they spoke Korean, they gave their speaking card to that student. At the end of the day, the students who had the cards were punished by teacher. This model shows the students in the period after independence. The Korean War occurred in 1950 and carried on for 3 years. During this war, classes had to be held on the street. People folded up the huge tents and proceeded to teach the classes under them. Even though it was too hard to go to the class, students still enjoyed learning. This is the drawing machine. Middle school entrance exam was abolished in 1969 to lessen the fierce competition to enter good middle schools. Drawing machine was used to draw lots to assigned schools. This model shows the picnic in the past. These are the foods that students ate at the picnic. I explained about the history of Korean education. Thank you for watching my UCC.